Very good. Welcome to the AADOCR, American Association for Dental, Oral, and Craniofacial Research, Washington, D.C. section inauguration meeting. We have a very special lecture at our meeting first in 2023. As president of the Washington, D.C. section, I'd like to welcome you online and virtually, not just here in Washington, D.C., but also from all over the world. And our speaker is joining us from Michigan. I like to first just highlight a few items, housekeeping items. We would like to thank especially Rihanna Hayes from the AADOCR headquarters office for her support in all the coordination of the section, as well as Krista Sherban, who's a research assistant with Washington Institute for Dentistry and Laser Surgery, for her administrative support and logistics in putting together the meeting specifically and our schedule for 2023. That said, I like to say that we wanted to take this opportunity to establish collaboration, not just with the AADOCR in the United States and across the states, but also, or various sections across the state, but also the international community as well. Unfortunately, the recording is not permitted during this particular lecture. The lecturer has graciously given us his time and expertise. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to the AADOCR 2023 meeting, first meeting, May meeting. And the title for the lecturer today will be on sleep apnea diagnosis and treatment, facts and fiction. I'd like to introduce Dr. Joseph Helman, who basically will be speaking on the evidence, effective treatments, evidence-based and effective treatments, and the uncovering of false clinical evidence with respect to obstructive sleep apnea. I'd like to, for those of you who have not had an opportunity to interact with Dr. Helman, I'd like to just briefly highlight some of the I would say, successes across the decades. Dr. Helman received his DMD from the Universidad Nacional De Rosario in Argentina and completed his oral and maxillofacial surgery residency at Rambam Medical Center in Israel. A noted worldwide lecturer on the subject of surgical management of sleep apnea, as well as diagnosis and treatment of head and neck cancer. Dr. Helman is widely published in books, professional journals, and industry publications. Dr. Helman maintains his focus on the surgical management of oral cancer, as well as orthognathic surgery in patients with obstructive sleep apnea syndrome, and is a pioneer in the involvement of oral surgery in multidisciplinary alternatives to CPAP program. He trains residents and fellows in maxillofacial techniques used to treat obstructive sleep apnea in his present position as professor of oral maxillofacial surgery at Case Western Reserve University. His main research interests focus on outcome assessment and measures. Dr. Helman is the former section head of oral and maxillofacial surgery and the former C.J. Lyons endowed professor and chair of the Department of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery at the University of Michigan. Dr. Helman was a recipient of the Fogarty International Fellowship at the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research for the National Institutes of Health, an honorary fellowship at the Chalmers Lyons Academy of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery, S.L. Mobile Visiting Professorship at the Medical College of Virginia, Virginia Commonwealth University. Dr. Helman has been named a distinguished practitioner and member by the National Academy of Practice and Dentistry, has been awarded a fellowship to the International Congress on Oral Cancer, and is a former chair of the Research Committee of the International Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons. He has been the recipient of the Harry Archer Award by the American College of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery and the Presidential Achievement Award by the American Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Dr. Helman has served in leadership positions in local, regional, and national and international professional organizations throughout his academic career. He has been appointed active and or honorary professor at many academic institutions around the globe. And without further ado, I'd like to personally welcome Dr. Helman to the stage. And he will take the next hour to inform us on a very comprehensive and yet very detailed insight into the obstructive sleep apnea diagnosis and treatments. We know that on principle, we are responsible as clinicians to decrease comorbidities in the general population, as well as on the other notion in terms of healthcare expenditure. It is estimated that obstructive sleep apnea treatments amount to more than $4 billion of the USA healthcare expenditure. And without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Helman. Thank you, Dr. Helman, for taking time and joining us today.
My pleasure. So let me see.